So we're up to Ois Vav, and the Rebbe is explaining the chiluk between um, Gan Eden and Yemais HaMashiach, and Yemais HaMashiach and Tchiyas HaMesim. And the Rebbe explained that in Gan Eden, because it's Memalik Kol Almim, over there, to go from one level to the other level requires avoida bittel. We say that Talmidei Chachamim ein lehem menucha. They don't have rest. Why? Because all the aliyahs in Gan Eden have to go from level to level, from step to step, and every step is avoida is bittel. That's called a bittel. Bittel through Milmailo, Milmata, the Nahar Dinur. He talked about the Amud, the ways that you go from level to level. But B'Yemaisa Mashiach, that's the difference between Gan Eden and Yemaisa Mashiach. Over there is the Gilui of Sevav Kulamim. So over there, it's not necessarily so much to go from step to step. A person can go to the higher level without being misbattled. So he's going to continue now to explain why in Gan Eden it's a step-by-step process. He explains that just like when we talk about the way the oir, the light of Hashem comes down, it goes down in a gradual, from step to step, from one madrega to the other madrega. So the same thing is the elevation also go up from step to step. Let's look inside. So we can say in the explanation in this, Shahahamshocha de Eir HaMemali Lahachyois Ulhavis Es HaNivroi. When the light that fills the world is drawn down to vitalize and create the Nivroim, he be'oifon di hishtalshelus milmayla lamata. It's a way of evolves. It goes from the top, it goes to the bottom. There is a gradual descent. Shebetchila hu mislabesh b'nivroim haruchnim. First, he dresses up in the spiritual creations. And then he dresses up in creations that are lower than them. Sheheim rak k'moi moshul l'nivroim ha'elyonim. The second, the lower creations are just like a moshul. They're just a example for the upper created being. What is a moshul? A moshul is an example. It's not the thing itself. You have something, an idea, that's the thing itself. And then you have an example for it. The example is a secondary. It's something totally different. It's not at the same level as the idea. That's why you're using it as a moshul, which means that same idea that you're trying to convey, as it has descended into a moshul, meaning it's in a much lower level than the idea itself. That's why this is a moshul for the example that you're trying to give it to. So the lower level is a moshul, like a moshul to the upper level. That's the distance. So it goes from one level, then it goes to the lower level, which is just like a moshul in Nivraim Al Yonim. Ve'achar kach mislabish lemata yoser, and then it dresses up even further. So it says, "U'kamoishu yadua," the way it's known, "Vayidaber shloishes alofi moshel." It says by Shlomo HaMelech that Shlomo HaMelech can give 3,000 moshel. What's explained is, which means each moshel was a lower level than the previous one. That basically means that Shlomo HaMelech was able to bring down the idea 3,000 steps below. He gave 3,000 moshel, a moshel, then a moshel for the moshel, a moshel for the moshel's moshel. He kept on going down the same idea that he had always on the top. It went down 3,000 steps. That's what it means that he gave 3,000 moshels that he was able to give. So v'yesh loymar. This is the way creation takes place in Memale Kol Almim. And this is the way it goes in Gan Eden, which is part of Memale. That's the idea, the Eira Memale. Things go from one level to the next level, go down from the Nimshel to the Moshel. V'yesh loymar, d'zeu hatam shali began Eden. This is the reason why. How does the elevation take place in Gan Eden? Shebegan Eden hagilu de'era memale canal, because in Gan Eden, over there is the revelation de'era memale canal, mimadrege lemadrege. So how does it go from step to step? Hi al yidei shemizbatel madrege hatachtoina. That is through that the lower level becomes this battle. You lose, you negate the previous level, and then you go up to the higher level. Why? Because just like how did the light oir comes from above to below, he al yidei shemislabish ba'id levush, that is by dressing up in another garment, uba'id levush, then yet another garment. These are all the mushal. The mushals are garments. So how does the light come down? One garment, then you add another garment. Keep on garments, 3,000 garments. But there is garments that to descend. So therefore, when you elevate, you got to undo those garments. You put on those garments in order for the light to come down. So in Gan Eden, which is a gradual descent and a gradual elevation, as you're going up, you have to get rid of each garment as you're going to the higher level. Al derech zeh hu be'ha'aliyah milmata lemaylo. Same thing is similar is by the elevation from below to above. Sha'aliyah hi al yidei havshotas halavush. Elevation is through removal of the garment, which is bittul madrega hakedemes, the nullification from the previous level. When it comes down, it goes down. Each level dresses up in a new mushal, in a new descent, in a new level. And then later on, in order to elevate, you have to need the bittul of that level to go to the higher level. So that's why when we talk about Gan Eden, we're talking about they have to continuously go up, get rid of the previous level, and they keep on going to the higher level. And the Rebbe makes now a very interesting note of the fact. Here we mention from the Pasuk that Shlomo HaMelech spoke 3,000 moshels. Now the Rebbe says this number 3,000 is very precise. Number 3,000. 3,000 correspond to the three worlds of Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. In each world, there is 1,000 levels. So basically, from the world of Atzilus, the Malakul Almim descended 3,000 levels. And this fits with something that it says in the Maimorim, which almost seems like he just gives it says a number arbitrarily, but this is very precise and very connected, as the Rebbe will explain. It says in the Maimorim that the Avos of Moshe Rabbeinu are already sitting 3,000 years in Gan Eden. This is just a number, approximately 3,000 years. It says specifically, this fits with the Shloishes Alofim Moshel. Let's see what the Rebbe says in the bracket now. The Rebbe adds now a side point over here to explaining that this number fits with what it says in the other Maimorim. V'yesh loymar, we can say, D'zeu gamke mashe muva bekama drushim. This is what's brought down in several Maimorim. Shegam ha'ovis u'Moshe Rabbeinu. So over there it says that also the Ovis and Moshe Rabbeinu sheyoshvim beGan Eden ha'elyon. They are in the upper level of Gan Eden. Yoser megimul alofim shano. They're there more than 3,000 years. Yavoyu lislabish bigufi. So the Maimorim say that even the Ovis of Moshe Rabbeinu, who are 3,000 years already sitting in the upper Gan Eden, they also will come and dress up in bodies. They'll be by Tchias HaMeisim. So the Maimorim explain why. It says, Ki hagilu sheyiyeh b'tchias HaMeisim, because the revelation that would be in Tchias HaMeisim unayle harbe yoser mehagilu shemeir beGan Eden. That is a much greater, elevated revelation, more than the revelation they have in Gan Eden. So while they're sitting 3,000 years in Gan Eden, it's still not the same level. They're going to get up for Tchias HaMeisim. It's a much higher level than Tchias HaMeisim. Afilu beGan Eden Elyon. It's even a greater level than the Gan Eden Elyon. So he says, so the Rebbe said, the fact that they specifically say, sheyoshvim beGan Eden ha'elyon yoser megimul alofim shana, that they're sitting in Gan Eden more than 3,000 years. Yesh loymar, so the Rebbe says we can say, the gimul alofim shana, when he says the 3,000 years, hem dugmas shloishes alofim moshel. That is similar to the 3,000 moshel that we said that Shlomo HaMelech spoke. It's similar. Shehem keneged gimul olam esabiyah. 3,000 moshel correspond to the three worlds of Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. The bechol olam, in each one of the worlds, yesh elef madreges. There is 1,000 madreges. V'zeu shemedaikim, and this is what they are specifically mentioned, sheyoshvim beGan Eden ha'elyon yoser megimul alofim shana, that they're sitting in Gan Eden ha'elyon more than 3,000 years. B'meshech gimul alofim shana, because during the duration of 3,000 years, mafshitim kol halevushim, they have undressed all the garments, which is hamisholim. We say the moshel is a garment. So those are the 3,000 misholim. The gimul olam is biyah. Of the 3,000 worlds of biyah, all those misholim, all those levushim, they have already undressed it all. Uksheyoshim beGan Eden yoser megimul alofim shana. And when you sit in Gan Eden more than 3,000 years, misalim gam be'atzilus b'chulu, then you're elevated that you're even in Atzilus. So that's why the number 3,000 is very important, because it fits with the 3,000 moshel, the 3,000 garments. That is the shtalshlus of Biyah. and still, they're still gonna come to dress up. The Ovis and Moshe Rabbeinu, they'll come to dress up in bodies. Why? Because the revelation of Tchias HaMeisim is higher than the revelation of Gan Eden. Gam kishagilu de Gan Eden ula'achrei shemafshitim kol halavushim. Even when the revelation of Gan Eden is after they take off all the garments, meaning the highest level, and still the revelation of Tchias HaMeisim is even higher than that. Why? That's all Memalekol Almim. The Gilui of Gan Eden, no matter how high you get, it's all within Memalekol Almim. Masha'en kein ha'aliyos sheyiyu b'moisa Mashiach, as opposed to the elevations that will be in the days of Mashiach. Over there, you ba'ofen shelo yitztarech lotzis mematzove madrigose. Over there will be in a way you're not going to need to leave, to go out from your situation and level. You don't have to leave anywhere. Why? Because mikivon she'oz yiyeh hagilui de'oirin sof habligvul. Then it's going to be the revelation of the unlimited light of Hashem. So because it's not going to be unlimited, it's not going to be a gradual descent. It's not going to be 3,000 moshels. It's not going to go through biyah. It's not the different ishtalshlus. But v'hagilu yigam lamata. The revelation is also below, because we're talking about the Eir HaSevev. And the Eir HaSevev reaches to the lowest level just like it reaches the highest level. So to go to a higher level, you don't need to leave the previous level, because the highest level, because you're reaching into the level of Seviv Kolamim, which is not gradual. It didn't come down gradual. You don't go up gradual like with the Gilu in Gan Eden, which is the revelation of Memale Kolamim. So this, the Rebbe explained the Maila of Gan Eden over the Maila Menech of Yemais HaMashiach over the time of Gan Eden. No. But Yemais HaMashiach is also not the ultimate. Gam Zayin, Gam Hagilui, the Yemais HaMashiach, also the Gil Yemais HaMashiach, Hurak Gilui HaSevev. There is only the revelation of Sevev Kol Almim, not Atzmus, not the essence, but it's the level. It's still Oir. It's Oir Makif. It's Oir HaSevev. And V'lochein yeh boi chiluke madreges. And therefore there will be differences of level, kinal, in the time of Yemais HaMashiach. And that's all in the level of Sevev. Masha'en kein hagilui, the Tchias HaMeisim, as opposed to the revelation of Tchias HaMeisim, yiyeh b'chlalusa, generally speaking, l'chol Yisrael b'shoveh, kol Yisrael yesh lam chelik lo'olam haba. Everybody has equally, in a general way, in olam haba, in Tchias HaMeisim. L'pfi shebetchias HaMeisim yiyeh gilui atzmus oirin sof shelamayla mischalkus, because over there it's going to be the revelation of the essence of the oirin sof, which is beyond, which is above the level of separation. So therefore, it's going to be equal for everybody. And within Tchiyas HaMesim, as we said before, we have the both levels. We have Tchiyas HaMesim as a reward for the mitzvahs, and we also have Tchiyas HaMesim as the revelation of the essence of the Yid, the Amich Kulam Tzadikim, and the Neitzer Matoi. Ubazeh Gufa Yiyu Shnei Inyonim. And this itself will be both aspects, both areas. Hagilui da'atzmus oirin sof shemshichu al dekiyum hamitzvus. The revelation of the essence of the Ein Sof, which they draw down through the observance of the mitzvahs. So we said before, the mitzvahs we do now are going to be revealed on a greater level in Yemais HaMashiach, in Tchiyas HaMesim, also in Yemais HaMashiach, but on a higher level. The reward of the mitzvah, the gilui of the mitzvah, will be in Tchiyas HaMesim, the essence of the Ein Sof that we drew down through the Kiyum mitzvahs now. That's the first step. Through this, the Yidden will be elevated to even a higher madrega. Shetizgale mailas Yisrael atzmam. It will be revealed not the advantage of doing mitzvahs, but the advantage of the Yidden themselves. Neitzer matoai mase yodai lihispoir. The Eibishter will reveal the advantage of the Yid himself, not the reward for mitzvahs, only the essence that they brought down through mitzvahs, but the essence of a Yid. Neitzer matoai mase yodai lihispoir. This advantage of the Yidden, that's a higher level than the fact that they bring down the revelation of godliness through the study of Torah and Kima mitzvahs. The revelation of the mile of Yidden themselves is a higher revelation than even the revelation of the godliness that Yidden bring through Torah mitzvahs. The shoyrish haneshamas, because the root of the neshama, hu ba'atzmusi yisbarach, in the Eibishter's blessed atzmus, which is l'mayla m'shoyrish ha-Torah mitzvahs, which is higher than Torah mitzvahs, and that's why that's even a higher level. And also, begam b'haguf de Yisrael b'chiras atzmus, and also in the level of the body of the Yid, is also the choosing of Atzmus, which means even in the neshama of a Yid, that also has a higher root than the level of Torah mitzvahs that were mamshich from a Yid, because the root of the neshama is higher. But also the body of a Yid, that's bechlal, comes from the level of B'chiras Ha'atzmus that the Eibishter chose, which is even higher than the level of a Yid, which is the Maila of the Neshama, as we said, because the level of Tzadikim, the level of good deeds, of Torah mitzvahs, that's but the level of the Neshama is higher, and then the level of the Guf is even higher, because that is the level of B'chiras Ha'atzmus. So basically, when Tchiyas HaMesim will come, relative to that, all Yidden are equal. Kol Yisrael, Yesh Lam Chelik Lo'olam Habo, because it doesn't depend on anything. But even in mitzvahs, there are still differences. In mitzvahs, there is some people do more mitzvahs, some people I feel but it's still not at the same darga. So we have the gilui of the schar of mitzvahs. We have both. In Tchiyas HaMesim is the etzem, the atzmus, that we were mamshich through the mitzvahs that the gilui comes. But we also have the gilui in Yemais HaMashiach, which brings down the level of Sevav Kol Almin, which is both of them are higher than in Gan Eden. In Gan Eden, there is the Shloishes Alafim Mashal. Over there's a gradual descent, and also the Aliyah, as we say, Ein Lahem Menucha, because You have to go out from one level to the other. And the avoida, you have to go through the Nahar Dinur, you have to go through the pillar. And this is all the levels of Mamala Kalamim. Then we come to Sevev Kalamim, the level of Tchiya, the level of Atzmus Ein Sof. Okay, we'll leave it over here. And we'll be back tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good day.